Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the 2018 horror movie Big Legend. A film that for me has essentially come out of nowhere. And this film is another one of those Bigfoot, Sasquatch type horror movies. And fairly recently I reviewed the Primal Fear? The Bigfoot movie that I actually thought was quite good. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting much of this. I'd not heard anything about it, so I wasn't expecting anything really with this movie. And I got a bit of a surprise, guys. This is actually pretty good. Surprisingly good. Really well made. And with a really, really interesting ending. And this film essentially focuses on a couple at the beginning of it's a really, really good setup to this movie. The first 15 minutes is just devoted to this couple that go camping in the woods. That you can tell they're very much in love. He's a recently retired army ranger, and they're going out camping in the woods, reconnecting. He proposes to her while they're out there. It's all beautiful in front of this waterfall, and this literally goes on for like 10-15 minutes, this opening bit, and it really sets up the movie nicely. And then she is taken, his fiance, and you don't know by what or whom. And then the film starts essentially 15 minutes later, and we picked the movie up 12 months after this incident. He's been in a mental health institution for 12 months. Obviously nobody believes him. He thinks some kind of creature took his fiance. And he's just getting released from this institute, and after a conversation with his mother, he decides he's going back out there. He needs answers, he needs to know what's happened. So he packs his weapons, packs his camping gear, and he sets off back out into the same woods to try and discover what happened to his fiancée, who he believes may well still be alive. Once he gets out there, he's being watched and stalked, and he teams up with a poacher, basically. Eli, I believe is called, this poacher, and they kind of team up together, and they start getting hunted and stalked by a creature, essentially Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, and they've got to try and stick together to survive and outwit this creature and run, hide, all the usual kind of stuff, and it becomes a survival movie then. And that is essentially what this movie is. Fairly basic setup and premise, but it's done really, really well. Like I say, that first 15 minutes was excellent, an excellent opening. It was slow, it was deliberate, but you really believe this relationship between this couple, and then they're torn apart. And he's then a broken man, and he needs answers. He needs to know what's happened, so he goes back out. And he's a man on a mission. And he really, really is. He's got vengeance on his mind, revenge. The poacher actually asks him, "Have you actually come out here to find your fiancée or to join her?" Which I thought was a really good line. And he couldn't really answer it accurately. So there you go, guys. This was really, really good. Now, that's not to say it's perfect, because there were some serious inconsistencies with this movie, and I'll go over some of the negatives. There's some gap plots, things like that, inconsistencies that we'll talk about now. At the beginning of the movie, the camping gear from when she was abducted, his fiancée, is delivered to his mother's house in a box 12 months later, and the police and everything couldn't find her. And in there is her camera, because she was taking photographs and stuff. And after 12 months, he just turns it on. Didn't need charging after 12 months. And he's flicking through photographs, and he sees essentially like a shadowy figure, Bigfoot. So the police didn't look at these photographs if they were searching for her. You think that would have been something they would have done? To say he's a recently retired army ranger, he makes some questionable decisions, i.e. constantly leaving his backpack and his weapons out of reach and stuff like that. And to me, a trained military person would never do some of the things that he does in this movie. So I think there were some inconsistencies there. In a sense, he was supposed to be like a retired army ranger. It gets a bit predictable at certain points in the movie, when certain things happen, you kind of think, right, I think I know what's going to happen there, and it does. And then another point in the movie, something happens, and you think, right, I think this is going to happen now, and it does. So it gets a bit predictable, and it also gets a bit Predator. And I'm sure you've seen that movie, and by that you'll probably guess how this ending goes to a certain degree. So there are some things in this movie to really like, and I think there's some missteps in this movie, but I think it's filmed really nice. The locations are beautiful. I think the acting for the most part is top notch, and it's a very enclosed movie in the sense of there's very few actors in it. Lance Henriksen makes an appearance, but it's more of a cameo, and he's more at the end of the movie. And the thing I think they get right is they show very little of this creature. You hear rustles and growls, shadows, that kind of stuff, and you don't really get a full reveal, and even then it's not full on reveal till right at the end. And I thought that was a smart move. It really worked for the movie, I think. Some may disagree, but I thought it really worked for the movie, and I thought the effects for the most part were pretty good. And the horror elements were pretty good. They didn't overdo it. It wasn't overly gory. It was just enough to shock you when it needed to, and to get you tense when it needed to, and to prepare you for what was coming next. I think it was really, really well made, this movie. But like I say, I do think they did make some missteps in regards to predictability and things like that. And the ending, I thought, was very interesting because it opens it up massively for a sequel, and a sequel in a way you may not have been expecting. I certainly wasn't. So for me, guys, I would have to say this was a real pleasant surprise for me. It's not full on fast paced, it's reasonably slow burn, but it kept me really interested throughout. It's an easy 7 out of 10. It was almost an 8 out of 10, but I think some of the inconsistencies and the predictability of the movie just drops it a little bit. But if you're looking for a really good Sasquatch Bigfoot movie, you could really do with watching this one, guys, because I have to say I quite enjoyed this one. So I think it might be worth a watch. So thanks very much for watching, everybody.